People love to say, I own a house. No, you don't. You don't own a damn thing. The house owns you. You think you're the big boss, the proud homeowner, but really, you just signed up to be the live-in janitor, handyman, security guard, pest control guy, landscaper, and tax-paying servant of four walls and a roof. And the house doesn't even say thank you. It just sits there, sucking the life out of you while you pretend you're in charge. The day you get the keys, you think you've achieved the American dream. You hold them up like you just won the lottery. Oh, look at me, I'm a homeowner. No, you're not. You're a mortgage holder. There's a difference. You don't own that house, the bank does. You just get to mow the lawn while they collect interest. You're basically renting from the bank, except you also get to fix the plumbing when it explodes. Congratulations, you're renting responsibility, and people act like the house is a trophy. They take pictures in front of it, post them online. I just bought our dream home. No, you didn't. You bought 30 years of debt and stress. That's not a dream. That's a prison sentence. And the worst part, you celebrate it. You throw a housewarming party, invite all your friends, like it's some great achievement. What are you celebrating exactly? That you've agreed to give away most of your paycheck for the next 3 decades. That you're now personally responsible for every squeak, leak, crack, and creak. That doesn't sound like winning. That sounds like you just got tricked into a pyramid scheme, and the pyramid is literally sitting in your driveway. The house pretends to be this solid thing, this permanent fortress of safety. But in reality, it's a needy, whiny, fragile little brat. Something always breaks. Always. Doesn't matter if it's new or old, big or small. The moment you step inside, the house starts whispering. Fix me. Paint me. Replace me. Upgrade me. You thought you bought a house. You bought a never-ending to-do list with a roof on top. And you'll notice it always breaks at the worst possible time. You just got back from vacation? Surprise! The water heater blew up. You just lost your job. Guess what? Now the roof is leaking. It's like the house knows. It's sitting there laughing at you. Oh, you thought you could relax. Nope. Time to replace the furnace. You're not the master of the house. You're its hostage. And don't even get me started on property taxes. Because even if you somehow beat the system, pay off the mortgage, and finally own the house free and clear, guess what? You still don't own it. You stop paying those taxes, and the government takes it. So let's be clear, you don't own your house, you're leasing it from the state. You just happen to be responsible for cutting the grass. And here's the thing. People brag about owning property like it makes them royalty. I'm a property owner. Yeah. And the property owns you right back. You spend every weekend mowing, raking, painting, fixing, scrubbing. You're not living in that house, you're working for it. Us is the boss, you're the employee. It's got you on call 24/7. Oh, sorry. Wanted to relax tonight, no. The sink's leaking. Get to work. You don't own the house owns you, body and soul. You ever notice how when you live in an apartment, you can just call the landlord when something breaks? Water dripping from the ceiling? When you have a house, you're the landlord. You don't get to call anyone. Well, you can call a repair guy, but then he robs you blind. He shows up, looks at your busted air conditioner for 5 minutes and says, that'll be $800. And what can you do? You pay it. Because the house said so. The house gave you an order and you obeyed. And the bank, the bank loves this game. They give you a 30-year mortgage. 30 years. That's a life sentence with a front porch. You'll spend half your life paying for the house and the other half fixing it. And by the time you're done, the house is old, falling apart, and your kids don't even want it. They'll sell it the second you're in the ground. Thanks for the 30 years of hard labor, Dad. We'll just cash this out now. So in the end, you didn't even own it for yourself. You were just holding it for the next person. And people still buy into the illusion. They say it's an investment. Sure. The same way a slot machine is an investment. You keep feeding it, hoping one day it'll pay off. And yeah, maybe the value goes up, but so do the costs. The taxes, the insurance, the repairs, the upgrades. By the time you sell, you've poured so much into it, you realize you basically just paid for someone else's housewarming party. And then there's the stuff. The endless, suffocating amount of stuff. You get a house, and suddenly you have to fill it. Rooms can't be empty. You buy furniture, appliances, decorations. Every room becomes a storage unit for junk you don't even use. Half the time you forget you even own it. But the house demands to be filled. It's like a greedy monster with empty rooms for a stomach. Oh, feed me couches, feed me tables, feed me throw pillows, and you obey. You keep buying until you're buried alive in your own possessions. And here's the kicker. The bigger the house, the more it owns you. You think more space means more freedom. Nope. More space means more rooms to clean, more stuff to buy, more repairs to make, more taxes to pay. You're not free, you're chained to square footage. You're living inside a giant chore. But people cling to the fantasy. They say, at least it's mine. No, it isn't. Try not paying. Try ignoring it. Try letting it fall apart. The house will punish you. It'll leak, it'll crack, it'll collapse. You're not in charge. It is. You don't own the house. The house owns you. And the funny thing, people finds this. Wars are fought over land, families break apart over inheritance, neighbors feud over fences. All this drama, all this bloodshed, for a box of wood and concrete that will eventually rot and crumble. That's the big joke. You slave away your whole life for a house, but the house outlives you. And when you're gone, it just finds another sucker to own. So remember, when you say you own a house, what you really mean is the house owns you. You just work there full-time unpaid until you die. The house is supposed to give you space, right? That's the whole idea. You buy one because you want room. Room to stretch out, room to breathe, room to live. But have you noticed the bigger the house, the less space you actually end up with? It's true. Because the second you move in, the house starts to shrink. Not physically, but spiritually. The walls start closing in, not because of construction, but because of crap. Endless, useless crap. You thought you were buying square footage, but what you really bought was storage. A giant box where you'll spend the rest of your life stuffing things you don't need and pretending they matter. You buy a 3-bedroom house. Oh, look at all this space. We'll never fill this. And 2 years later, you can't even find the kitchen table under the piles of Amazon boxes and seasonal decorations. What happened? Stuff happened. Junk multiplied. You think rabbits reproduce fast? Try junk in a house. You buy one toaster and somehow you end up with 3. You buy one chair and suddenly you have 12. The house is like a breeding ground for possessions. And every single room has its own gravitational pull. You put one little thing down, just one, and suddenly the room demands friends for it. You put a chair in a corner now, it needs a lamp. Then it needs a little table for the lamp, and it needs a rug to tie the whole thing together. Then a picture on the wall above it. And before you know it, that empty corner is a fully furnished set piece from a magazine. And you don't even sit there. Nobody sits there, but it looks nice. It looks like you're winning at the game of house. It's the great paradox. More house equals less space, because you don't see empty space as freedom. You see it as an obligation. Oh, we've got a spare room. Better turn it into something. And it's never something useful. Nobody ever says, hey, let's leave it empty. Let's keep it simple. No, you gotta fill it. Guest room, craft room, home gym, office. You gotta give it an identity, a theme. Because apparently an empty room is a crime, and then of course the guest room never has guests. You spend thousands furnishing it, decorating it, buying special sheets and towels, and in 10 years maybe your in-laws sleep there twice. The other 3,648 nights, it's just a closet with a bed in it, a shrine to the possibility that one day someone might visit. You could have rented them a hotel room for half the cost, but no, you had to have a space. And storage, don't even get me started on storage. Closets, basements, attics, garages. Every single one fills up the second you look away. You move into a house, the closets are emptied. The garage is clean and you think, we'll never fill this. 6 months later, you can't park your car in the garage because it's filled with old boxes, broken furniture, and Christmas decorations the size of a parade float. The car, the thing that cost you 30 grand, sits in the driveway getting rained on, while the garage is protecting a busted exercise bike from 1998. And people actually pay for more storage, as if the house's built-in closets and attic aren't enough. Now you're in a storage unit across town. You're paying rent for your junk. Think about that. You bought a house to store your stuff. When that filled up, you bought a second house for the stuff you don't even look at. And you don't call it a house, you call it extra storage. You're not storing, you're hoarding by proxy. And here's the insane part. You don't even use half the stuff. You've got entire drawers full of cords you don't recognize. Cabinets stuffed with dishes you never touch. Closets with clothes that still have the tags on them. You know how people say, if you haven't used it in a year, throw it out? If we actually followed that, 80% of every house in this country would be empty. But we don't throw it out, because the house whispers to us to keep it. You might need it someday. Never comes, but the house owns your brain now. And don't even get me started on attics. The attic is like the graveyard of possessions. You don't put anything up there you plan to use. You put it up there so you can forget about it. Old toys, old clothes, broken lamps, boxes labeled miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is code for a crap I don't want to admit I'm never going to use. And then you die, and your kids have to crawl up there and wonder why you saved 15 National Geographic magazines from 1982. And the more space you have, the more excuses you find to buy things. You get a bigger house, suddenly you need bigger furniture. That old couch doesn't fit. It looks too small. You need a sectional. You need a coffee table the size of an aircraft carrier. You need a dining table with 12 chairs, even though you only know 4 people. The house demands to be filled, and you obey. You're not living in the house. You're feeding it. And it's not just furniture. Oh no, it's gadgets, decorations, little knickknacks. People decorate bathrooms now. Bathrooms, rugs, candles, framed quotes. Who are you decorating for? The toilet? You ever see a bathroom with more personality than the people who live in the house? You're standing there washing your hands under a sign that says alive. Laugh, love, and you're wondering if maybe it's time to burn the whole place down. And holiday decorations. Oh, that's a whole other beast. Halloween, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day. People fill their attics and garages with giant inflatable Santas. Light up reindeer, plastic skeletons. Pastel bunnies, they buy bins, entire bins, just to store decorations for a holiday that lasts 48 hours. And the bigger the house, the bigger the display. It becomes a competition. Who's got the scariest Halloween yard? Who's got the most lights at Christmas? You're not celebrating anymore. You're playing suburban war games. So you start with a house for space, and you end up with no space at all. You're trapped in a maze of your own possession. You can't walk from one end to the other without tripping over a pile of something you thought you needed. And when you finally get fed up and decide to declutter, what do? You don't throw it away. You organize it. You buy more boxes, more shelves, more bins. You build little houses inside your house to hold your stuff. And then you brag about how organized you are. Oh, look at my labeled bins. Yeah, great, you're still drowning. You just alphabetized the water. And here's the part that really makes me laugh. People with big houses always talk about downsizing when they get older. We've got too much space. Time to simplify. Oh, really? You think it's noble, like you've discovered minimalism. No, you just realized the house beats you. You thought you owned it, and in the end, it swallowed you alive. Downsizing is just admitting defeat. So yeah, the more space you think you're buying, the less you actually get. Because houses don't give you freedom. They give you obligation. They give you closets full of guilt and garages full of regret. You don't own the house. The house owns you. And it fills itself with all the junk it can carry until you're living in a storage unit with a mortgage. And the funny thing is, when you die, all that stuff goes straight into a dumpster. Everything you thought was so important to gone in a weekend. The house laughs one last time, spits out your junk, and waits for the next sucker to start filling it up again. That's the real punchline. You thought you bought space. What you bought was clutter with walls. You know what really gets me about houses? They're supposed to make your life easier. That's the whole pitch. Buy a house, you'll have stability, you'll have roots, you'll have peace of mind. But the second you sign those papers, it's like adopting the world's most expensive, most demanding pet. And unlike a dog, the house doesn't love you back. It just sits there and drains you. It needs constant feeding, constant attention, constant repairs. A house is like a child who never grows up and never moves out. And the worst part is, you signed up for it. You volunteered. Nobody tricked you. You went looking for it. People say, oh, but a house is an investment. Really? An investment? Let me tell you something. If you have to replace the roof every 10 years, fix the plumbing every 5, repaint the siding, clean the gutters, mow the lawn, shovel the driveway, and call in professionals for everything that breaks, it's not an investment, it's a subscription. A subscription to your own stress. And it's not like Netflix where you can cancel anytime. You're stuck paying for this one until you die or find another sucker to buy it off you. And the house never stops asking for money. The second you think you're done, boom, something else breaks. Furnace goes out. The water heater explodes. The dishwasher dies. The bathroom fan starts making a noise like a dying animal. It's like the house has a list of ways to mess with you, and it rotates them. It doesn't want you to feel comfortable. It wants you to feel nervous. It's like living with a terrorist. Any day, any time, something's going to go wrong. And people always say, oh, well, that's just part of being a homeowner. Yeah, exactly. That's the scam. You get tricked into thinking it's normal. It's not normal. You don't own a house. The house owns you. You're its servant. You work all week to pay for it, then you spend your weekends fixing it, cleaning it, maintaining it. You think you're building equity, but what you're really building is resentment. And here's where it gets funny. People actually brag about this. They love to tell you about the latest repair they made. Oh, we just redid the kitchen. Cost us $20,000. Oh, congratulations, you got robbed in broad daylight. And you're proud of it. People will show off their new countertops like they just cured cancer. Hey, look, it's granite? Yeah, great. You paid a small fortune to have a rock in your kitchen. Now you're broke and the house still isn't happy. Because as soon as you finish one project, it demands another. The lawn, that's a whole other racket. You spend hours mowing, trimming, watering, fertilizing. You fight weeds, you fight bugs, you fight the weather. And what's it all for? So your neighbors don't think you're a slob. That's it. You don't even enjoy it yourself. You spend your weekend sweating in the sun, pushing a mower, just so the guy next door won't look at your yard and go, You're not caring for a lawn. You're performing lawn theater. And the best part, if you let it go just a little, if you miss a couple weeks, the lawn turns into a jungle. It doesn't just get a little long, it mutates. Suddenly there are weeds taller than you, dandelions the size of dinner plates, and the neighborhood association is sending you threatening letters? You thought you bought a house, but really you bought a patch of grass you have to babysit until the day you die. Nay. And don't get me started on home improvement stores. Every homeowner thinks they're going to save money by doing it themselves. They head to the big box store, buy a bunch of tools, and walk out thinking they're Bob Vila. Then they get home, try to fix a leaky faucet and flood the kitchen. Or they hang a shelf and it rips out of the wall the next day. Do it yourself? Yeah, right. More like ruin it yourself. And then you end up calling a professional anyway, so you just doubled the costs. It's all part of the house's master plan. It lures you in with this dream of independence. You'll be free. No landlord, no rent, and then it changed you to projects you didn't even know existed. You ever replace a sump pump? No? Well, congratulations. Now you own a house. You'll learn and you won't like it. The house doesn't care if you're tired, if you're broke, if you had plans for the weekend. A house has a list, and you're on call 24/7. And the funny thing is, when you don't fix something right away, the house punishes you. You ignore a little crack in the wall. 6 months later, it's a hole the size of a football. You put off cleaning the gutters, suddenly you've got a waterfall pouring into your basement. The house is petty. It's vindictive. It waits for you to let your then it attacks, and you pay for the privilege. Property taxes, insurance, utility bills. It never stops. Every month, the house reaches into your pocket and takes what it wants. And if you don't pay, it kicks you out. Think about that. You miss enough payments, they'll throw you out of your house. That's how much you own it. You miss a couple checks and suddenly the bank is auctioning it off to the next poor sap. Some ownership. But here's the kicker. People don't just accept all this. They romanticize it. They call it the American dream. Isn't that hilarious? The dream is to chain yourself to a 30-year loan, spend every weekend fixing leaks, mowing grass and paying bills, just so you can die in debt surrounded by crap you don't need. That's not a dream. That's a hostage situation. The American dream is a nightmare with curtains. And the neighbors, oh, you can't forget them. Houses lock you into communities. Suddenly you care what the Joneses are doing. They buy a new car, you want a new car. They remodel their kitchen, you remodel yours. They get a pool, you start thinking maybe you need one too. It's not keeping up with the Joneses. It's being enslaved by them. And the house is the ringmaster, making sure you stay in the competition. Even the idea of a home equity is a scam. You think you're building wealth, but really you're just pouring money into a black hole. Sure, maybe the house will be worth more in 30 years. But in the meantime, you've replaced the roof 3 times, remodeled the bathroom twice, replaced the furnace, repainted the siding, and poured enough money into it to buy a second house. And when you finally sell, you act like you made a profit. You didn't make a profit. You got reimbursed for a lifetime of stress. So you don't own the house. The house owns you. It dictates your schedule, your spending, your priority. It tells you when to work, when to mow, when to shovel, when to fix. You think you're free, but you're just a tenant with a fancier title. The only real difference between renting and owning is that when you rent, the landlord fixes the toilet. When you own, you're the landlord. You're paying yourself to suffer. And the cruelest joke of all, you don't even notice it happening. You buy the house full of excitement, full of plans, full of dream. And little by little, the house chips away at you. It wears you down. Until one day you wake up, look around at all the projects, all the bills, all the junk, and you realize you've been serving a house your whole life. You didn't build a home, you built a cage. That's the big laugh. You thought you were buying freedom, stability, peace. But what you really bought was a full-time job where the boss never sleeps and the hours never end. And the punchline? You're paying for it every single month and smiling while you do it.